Buckle up guys, something absolutely insane is about to happen to the housing market. In this video, we are going to go through various data points and articles. If you want more of these in the future, hit the like and subscribe button for the algorithm. Now, this article I saw from MarketWatch is absolutely insane. The median income to buy a home is now over $88,000, which is $40,000 more than before the pandemic. Now, I want to show y'all a income percentile graph. Let's take the average American age, which is 35, and if we put his income as $88,000, this is literally the 75th percentile of man. But let's say you're a couple who both make $53,000, which is in the 50 percentile. Now, if we combine that, you'll get $106,000. But the thing is, you will still kind of struggle with your mortgage. I know this because inputting this into the Zillow budget calculator. Now, according to Redfin, the average home price is around $400,000. Now, this couple who make $106,000 combined income and they put down a 20% down payment will have to pay $3,018 a month. And you can see, based on the information I provided, a house at this price may stretch your budget too thin. And plus, the debt to income ratio is a little bit higher than usual. Now, if you thought that was shocking, wait till you hear this next bit of information that I'm going to read out to you. The National Association of Realtors, which looked at prices for single family homes in 185 U.S. cities, found that prices increased in nearly every metro area. Now, you may ask yourself, why are home prices still going up? Well, it's very important that you take a deep dive into this graph with me. Now, looking at this graph formulated from Venture Consulting, it addresses housing starts. And you can see that buyers traffic is way below housing construction. Now, this is perhaps the lowest it has ever been. Now, let us refer back to the article from MarketWatch. While yes, home prices went up across America, the pace of the increase has slowed. Only 46% of metropolitan areas posted double-digit annual price appreciation, compared with 80% in the last quarter, according to the National Association of Realtors. So guys, the pace has decreased 42%, literally cut in half, almost. Now we're going to move on to this shocking Redfin article that I was actually dying to show you guys, so let's get into it. 29% of homes for sale in the third quarter were new construction, a literal record high. Going back to what I said in my previous videos, builders are building like madmen. Let's look at this sentence. Construction home sales were up from 25% in the third quarter of 2021 and 18% in the third quarter of 2020. Now stay with me because this next graph is actually pretty important. Throughout the years, the U.S. wasn't building that much single-family homes. The shortage has to do with a lot of factors such as the 2008 housing crash, and you can see that from 2008 Q3 to 2010 Q3, it plummeted and was growing steady, but exploded when the pandemic hit. Now let's look at this interesting sentence. Home builders started scores of projects during the pandemic moving frenzy and are now stuck with a bunch of new houses that are hard to sell because mortgage rates have risen to 7%. Now this next bit of information is shocking because it really shows the transition from a seller's market straight into a sort of a buyer's market. Builders are giving away everything but the kitchen sink to attract bidders. Many are offering to buy down the buyer's mortgage by 1.5 points. And I've seen at least one offer a $10,000 check for closing costs, a $3,000 gift card, and a free refrigerator. This one way builders will dig themselves out of the hole they're in. And then he goes on to say even more. Many builders are offering more incentives than regular sellers. A lot of individual sellers are still pricing their homes too high because they're having a hard time accepting that the pandemic housing boom is over and they're not going to get 30 offers like their neighbor did last year. Builders are also dangling incentives in front of real estate agents. Floyd said some are offering agents a 5% commission, up from 0% during the pandemic and the typical 3% before the pandemic, in addition to bonuses of $6,000. It's crazy. Now I want to show you the guys this graph from Venture Consulting, which may suggest home builder stocks may as well be pretty much overvalued. The blue represents home buyer traffic and red represents Dr. Horton's stock price. You can see in 2012, Dr. Horton's stock price was $18 and home buyer traffic was low. But if you look towards 2022, home buyer traffic is low, but the stock price is super high, around $72 a share. This just shows you how big of a bubble home builder stocks are really in, and they are most likely set due to crash. Now I want to show you guys an interesting graph from Case-Shiller. This graph literally shows how big of a housing bubble we are in. Now if you look at 2022, it is higher than how it was in 2006. So one is not lying if they tell you this is bubble is bigger than 2006, because it's the truth. And also, it has been steadily going up, but finally it is starting to come down after like a lot of consecutive months. But let's look back into the article. Builders will also shift more towards multi-family units, for which there is still relatively high demand because rents remain high. Now let's discuss rent. Currently, investors are better off listing their houses for rent because as of right now, selling isn't really the best option for them. So really and truly, we should expect to see rents actually go back up. But now this next bit of information in this article supports my arguments that I made a couple of months ago. Pandemic boom towns have relatively high share of new homes. You can see that around the pandemic, building permits shot up pretty high, especially in 2021 and 2022, with the highest being 26,723 in March of 2022. And mind you guys, this is just Texas. Let's read the article to get even more foresight. Many of the metro areas with relatively high shares of new homes for sale have something in common. They ramped up building during the pandemic because they exploded in popularity with out-of-town buyers and are now seeing significant slowdowns in their housing markets. More than half of the metros in the top 20 are in Texas or Florida, hot pandemic migration destinations with room to build. More than 1/4 of the top 20 are now on Redfin's list of fastest cooling housing markets. This is very good because we could expect more price cuts because of how much inventory is going to be hitting the housing market. This is why I don't think it's a good time to buy right now, because once the inventory hit the market, which I've been saying for a while, investors will really just panic because their prices are going to go down too, because there is going to be more supply on the market. And as we've seen, we are building more than ever before. My best example is right in this article. Northport, the southwestern Florida metro, was consistently one of the top migration destinations during the pandemic because it offers relative affordability and sunshine. That caused home prices and construction to surge. Building permits in Northport soared 68% year over year in 2021, while home prices rose 21% because it heated up so much during the pandemic. It is now one of the fastest cooling housing markets in America, which is in turn causing existing homeowners to hold off on listings, which is causing newer homes to take an even more larger number on the housing market. Now guys, I always say the most important article for last, so let's dive into it with me. Home sales listing plunged over 20% in September, most on record aside from pandemic start. Look at this guys, about 60,000 deals were called off, equal to 17% of homes that went under contract, the highest share on record aside from March of 2020. And even more alarming, a record 22% of homes for sale had a price drop in September as home buyer bidding wars eased. Now, if we look at this graph, the 46% of Redfin home offers that faced competition in September is really good because, guys, I remember I was reporting on this. It was nearing, I could have sworn it was nearing 70%, but it's around 66%, the highest it has ever been. So really and truly, guys, the housing market situation is really confusing because we will honestly never really know when the Fed will pivot and just collapse in the whole housing market. This is going to be the end of the video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you guys think about the whole housing market environment.